Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to the Franchising 360 show. I am Tim Parmeter, and with me, as always, is Danielle Wright.
That's me.
We are here to educate you on all things franchising. We are going to explain things about how to become a franchise owner. We're going to talk about things to be more successful once you are a franchise owner, even at times how to turn a business into a franchise. Tonight is about things once you become a franchise owner and specifically for a retail related franchise. I'm excited for this one.
I know, because you know nothing of real estate and you ignore me when I talk about it.
What?
So it's fine. Yes.
So
right.
It is an area that I just have not experienced as much. And then you've been around it a lot on the franchisor side, but you came to franchising after doing commercial real estate. So, I'm just going to be a little kid and ask a bunch of questions with our guests.
Good. That's what they're here for.
I know.
And the guest and I are personal friends, so that's a positive too. So I won't ask a lot. You can sit over there and ask all you want.
Well, good. I've got like, there's a lot. Look out, buddy. We want to get to the guests quickly. So, not to diminish everyone's favorite segment of the show, the Friday franchise fun fact.
All right.
What do we got?
All right. Again, digging out of here. You ready?
Yes.
What's the most popular pizza topping at Domino's Japan?
Domino's Japan.
Yes, bro.
Pineapple.
No. Pineapple? Really? In Japan?
Sushi?
Close. Keep going.
Anchovies.
Nope.
I got nothing. What do you got?
Squid.
Oh.
Maybe we'll order that later.
Yes.
I'll eat it. I'll let you know how it tastes, and then we'll come back to that.
Yeah, there can be like, normal things like pepperoni on there, right?
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, it's a franchise, right? So I think what I'm trying to prove here in the franchise fun fact on a Friday is that the models of franchising can adjust based on geography.
And so we talked about,
that sounded really good.
A couple weeks ago, we talked about the difference between more established and more emerging and things like that, where again, it is understand people are always like, oh, you don't understand my market. Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe in Iowa, we understand it.
Right.
Japan is not Iowa.
Japan, that's not an emerging brand going in, U.S. emerging brand going there.
I wonder how they find real estate there. Ooh.
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
Well, we got to focus on the U.S. version of it first.
Got it.
And
right there with you.
This is, it can be a really intimidating piece of becoming a franchise owner is how to find the right space.
Intimidating, but exciting. I think I have more people on my side that just get giddy about shopping for real estate, but it can be the biggest thing that keeps people from moving forward because fear creeps in a lot on the real estate side.
Yeah. I know you and I in the past owned a couple retail related franchises, but we bought them from the previous owner, and I feel like
we didn't have to go shopping for the real estate.
No, and I feel like we kind of missed out on that.
Well, and we never talk about the franchise that I owned that was in food. And that was the reason why I stopped owning it, because the real estate issue was big. Was big and super emerging. So all of those things kind of come back. All of the things. You ask about the worst situation, I got it. Let's go.
Which is why we have our guest tonight talking about support that franchisors can give franchisees in this.
And the things that you should think about as a franchisee when you're going down that path, and what you should not do as a franchisee when you've got that support.
Yes. And we're looking forward to that, and we're going to find that out and a whole bunch more when we get our guest, John Day, who is a partner with Retail Union, is going to join us next on the Franchising 360 show. Hey, we are back on the Franchising 360 show. I'm Tim Parmeter alongside Danielle Wright. That's her. That's me. We've got a guest. We're super excited. One of the biggest things for franchisees that are going into a system that requires retail space. How in the holy heck do they find that? We have an expert joining us today. John Day, who is a partner with Retail Union, retail superstar, expert on all things. John, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Tim. Great to be here.
We are excited to talk to you. We got a bunch of questions. We're going to pretend to be nice at the beginning, but the goal is to have you in tears before we're done. So be ready for that. But, quick, John, how long you been doing this? How long you been in the retail world with franchising?
Just about since birth, Tim. Got started in a retail family, grew up in a restaurant family. Got into franchising at 24 years old myself personally, and then transitioned to help other franchisees with their real estate around 2007.
That's a great year to get into real estate, right? 2007.
I really wish you had been there at the time to kind of say, nope, not a good time to start. But you know what? When you start in a bad market, it makes every other market seem fantastic.
And you said you are and have been a franchise owner as well. How does that help you with the conversations with all of the franchisees you've worked with over the years?
You know, one of the biggest things, I know what it's like to sign a lease. I know what it's like to sign a personal guarantee on a retail space. I always tell everybody I work with that I treat their money like it's mine. And I'm incredibly cheap. So it really gives me a certain level of empathy and understanding because it's always nerve-wracking. And I've done it. I've signed the 10-year personal guarantee, and I've gone into the commitment where you don't have any guarantee that it's going to work, and you have to trust. And so it's really helped me because I really can understand what the franchisees feel.
Talk just on the high level, when we talk about real estate support for a new franchise owner, because rarely has a franchise owner ever had to find a commercial property, negotiate leases, all of those things. Walk us through just kind of high level what you're here to do to help these folks with.
Well, it's kind of the number one question with franchisees because you're exactly right. Most of the time they've never dipped a toe into the retail real estate market. And quite frankly, it can be a very daunting market. Not because it's an overly complicated thing, but when you're on the outside looking in, it can be. And what my team does is we take the daunting out of the real estate. I've spent my career since 2007 basically on airplanes, visiting every shopping center in the country. And I'm able to give insight to franchisees where, I always tell them it's not what you don't know. It's what you don't know that you don't know that really hurts you in real estate. And my team is there to help them with boots on the ground on the site selection process. And, one of the biggest things right now facing retailers across the nation is that it's one of the lowest vacancy rates we've ever had in retail. And we're going to need about another 6-hour segment to talk through why. But I can tell you the short answer is we're at about a 3.5% to 4.5% vacancy rate nationwide. And a lot of the spaces that we're finding as coming available are the best spaces for the franchisees today.
So I'm going to ask a question. I'll steal the mic from Tim, and John and I have worked so that our viewers know together recently with a brand or two, and we both have an affinity for real estate. I was in real estate long before I ever got into franchising, but kind of walk the viewers through those that are potentially wanting to be franchisors and even potential franchisees, like why it's important to work with someone like you that's dedicated to a brand and that specificity. I'm sure I could go out and find myself my own commercial broker, or I could call my best friend Sally, who's a residential person. Tell us why it's important to make sure that you're working with a vetted professional that has had this experience, and maybe why a brand should have someone like you on staff to help their franchisees find those locations.
Well, Danielle, it's everybody's got a cousin that does real estate. That doesn't necessarily mean that their cousin's any good at retail real estate. Retail's a unique animal. And much like I don't do industrial, I don't do office, I don't do residential, I do retail. And the reason is that I'm an expert in just retail tenant representation. And that is about the most laser focused you can get in the industry. And, I referenced it earlier, but it's all the hidden landmines throughout retail that working with a retail expert, they help you navigate the landmines. They help you avoid them. For my clients, it's all about protecting them. They have to protect their exposure. A lease agreement, for everybody that hasn't read a commercial retail lease, it's a little one-sided in the beginning. And it's very landlord friendly because it's drafted by the landlord's counsel. And, paragraph 37 tells the tenant that if they default, they have to give up their firstborn child.
Which isn't always a deal breaker, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, it's on a case-by-case basis, that's okay. Sometimes we redline it. Sometimes we leave it in. But it really is it's just, there's so many landmines. And my job is to walk my clients through that process so that we avoid the landmines. And just as a little anecdote to this, I always tell my clients that so much of the advice that I give them is based on mistakes that I personally made myself as a franchisee.
Yeah, which is a great thing you've got on both sides. And we want to talk about some of those landmines and even some of the things that they don't know that they need to know is a great thing. We're going to do that and more when we come back here on the Franchising 360 show. Hey, we are back on the Franchising 360 show. Tim Parmeter with Danielle Wright, and joining us from parts unknown is our good friend John Day with Retail Union. He is real estate support for franchise owners. John, before break, you used the word landmine. I think every time that word has been used on this show was in that last segment. So give us an example. What the heck kind of landmine might somebody run into?
Well, short answer, landlords.
Landlords. Love it.
The landlord's verbiage within a lease agreement is a landmine in and of itself. And, our job is to work through those landmines and just protect the franchisee.
What other brilliant questions do you have?
I have
You're so many questions.
I've got all.
And I've been in real estate a long time.
I know I'm giddy on this one because this is one of the things in franchising I probably know
the least about. Yeah.
With this, but there's a thing in real estate, John, we're going to go location, location, location. 3 most important words. But that's really pretty much, I don't know how to better say this, crap, right? So what are the things that you would talk to somebody about, when they're location, location, location?
Yeah, Tim, it's, the movies will tell you it's location, location, location. And, the reality is, and I don't try to overcomplicate retail. It has a way of doing that to itself. But I would tell anybody looking at retail, the top 3 things, it's visibility, accessibility, and parking.
And parking, right? That was the third, parking, right? So visibility. Accessibility.
Which means getting in and getting out.
So visibility, we can kind of grasp, right? We can see it. But accessibility, talk about that.
I think the shortest way to tell you is that everybody has a favorite grocery store that they go to, and it's usually based on convenience from your house. When you look at a shopping center, the things that I look at when I stand on the street, what do the turn lanes look at? Can you cross from the other side of the street? Is there a stoplight that takes you into the shopping center? These are all improvements to your accessibility. Is it, do you have left and right hand turns out of the shopping center? It's not just enough to be able to get into the shopping center. You also have to conveniently be able to leave to go back home.
Yeah.
And the the reality is the consumer wants the most convenient retail that they can get.
Yeah.
They
And people don't think about the accessibility, do they? Right? Like that whole turning. We just had this the other day, like eating breakfast, and we're trying to get out someplace, and we're trying to go left, and they're trying to go left across the street, and it was
like, who goes?
It was a little confusing.
Divide them out.
I'm sure when you talk to people about the accessibility side of things, like I'm guessing you get like big eyes are like, oh crap, I never thought of that, right?
Mm-hmm. It's the biggest thing is that I always tell people, you know a lot more about retail real estate and the science behind it because you're a consumer.
Yep.
You know, it drives my wife crazy when we're driving down the street and the gas tank says empty, and I will not cross the street to go to a gas station. I want to.
You do that, and whenever we drive by a plaza, I'm like, I did that deal. I know who's in that plaza. Like, it's definitely. You spend a lot of time on the road with real estate. You know all of the things. Hey, don't go there. You can't get out of there. You'll be sitting there 10 minutes waiting to turn left.
Yeah. What about the parking side of things, John? What are some things that you look for there?
Different ratios. Not to bore anybody with a bunch of statistics, but you know, you have to have a certain number of parking spaces for your square footage. You know, I always kind of chuckle when I work with boutique fitness and their customers don't want to walk far to go work out. And you have to have that accessible parking lot where, you know, that's why you see like a grocery store has a giant parking field in front of it because they have a lot of customers and they come in on a weekly basis versus, you know, your big box centers. You have to have giant amounts of parking because you have to support the amount of traffic that comes through on an annual basis. So parking's tremendous, and every municipality has a different ratio that they require, but we dig into those and we make sure that you're staying in compliance. And then we also help you because, you know, even beyond compliance, one of the most important things is having a good retail space that your customer wants to go in.
John, you think of part of that too is like when you're talking about all these things, most people are sitting there going, I didn't know that was a thing. Also kind of why we want to have franchises that have this kind of support. Once we find the location, there's some other things I know you guys can help with. I want to take a quick break. Let's come back and talk about a couple more things that you're going to get support with as a franchise owner, especially when you're working with groups like John's. That on the Franchising 360 show after this. And we were back on the Franchising 360 show, Tim Parmeter with Danielle Wright and our guest, John Day, partner with Retail Union, and talking about real estate in franchising. So many things that most people don't know anything about. And I'm sitting here with two people with tons and tons of real estate experience. So I'm like the little kid asking all these little questions that I don't know. Guys, what do I not know that I should know? What's missing for today? Well,
during the break, we were trying to educate you to terms. Like there are certain terms that you don't know, and I'm sure John can educate our viewers to them. But when you're getting in there and saying, hey, let me go shop for my real estate, let's be excited about that because it's the next step in your process after you've signed a franchise agreement and you've paid that fee. John and his team and those out there that do what they do are going to get boots on the ground and start looking at things. But what's the very next thing? Like I found the location. It matches the criteria that the franchisor has set forth from a square footage and as you were talking, the parking and the accessibility. What comes next, John? Tell our viewers how you help them through that process.
Yeah, sure. Once we've gotten through the site selection process, it starts to get a bit more exciting. It's like the days leading up to, Christmas, where you start seeing the presents under the tree and it starts getting more real. The next step after your site selection, you've narrowed it down, you found a great space, you're going to draft a letter of intent. The letter of intent is basically the Cliff Notes version of all the terms that are going to go into the lease agreement. Your standard letter of intent, 3 to 4 pages. We try to cover all the high level details, your base rent, your triple nets, your rent commencement date. How much time does the landlord give you for building out your space before you have to start paying rent? I don't think we have time on the show to cover all the details of the LOI, but I can tell you the intent of it is to outline all the terms. And then once you get past the letter of intent, everybody's happy and my clients are protected and they've got the right terms in place. Then we get to go to the lease phase. And, that's when the lease becomes a very real document. This is a legally binding document that's going to, attach you at the hip to the landlord for, the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
So out of all of that, that's what you help them do. Tell us kind of like what you don't do, right? Like you're not going to sign the lease for them. You're not the lease attorney that's going to review the lease. You're not going to even be the guy going in there and building out the space. Kind of walk us through like what the expectation is that you're not going to cover with a candidate or a client.
Yeah, my bold font message is that I am not an attorney and I cannot provide legal advice at any time. I can help all of my clients through the letter of intent process and I can explain what every single section is. My goal is to educate all of my clients so that at the end of it, they know exactly what they're signing. Even once they get to the lease, when they have a retail real estate attorney negotiating the terms of their lease with them, I still stay involved because sometimes I can explain the legal terminology at a kindergarten level so that everybody's fully aligned. We've all read the legal document and we're convinced that lawyers use certain words just to confuse us. Well, they do. And I can bring it down so that it's real verbiage so that everybody knows what it says. Not every sentence has to start with notwithstanding anything to the contrary.
Nice.
I have one more.
One more. Go
one
fast.
more. It really is literally just one more. Like out of everyone that you've worked with, franchisors, franchisees, what is one thing that they do that drives you nuts that you wish they wouldn't do? Go.
Wait, I'm sorry, John. What'd you say?
Exactly that right there, Tim.
So
right there.
Well, and again, you've said if somebody's watching this and they knew all this stuff, oh, John, I know that, they probably do what you do, right? From this standpoint, and would love to figure out like another time. Would love to have you almost like a little to be continued for John to talk more about this.
Yeah,
if nothing else,
like a 2 series.
If nothing else, yeah. I want to learn more. But the main thing we should come from this is if you are about to become a franchise owner or are a franchise owner of a retail related franchise and you go and try and do everything on your own, what's
bad idea?
Yeah. I think John, like good idea, bad idea. We're going to go with the bad idea, right?
I would expand on that and say horrible idea. Again, it's not what you don't know that hurts you. It's what you don't know that you don't know.
Which, as we found out tonight, is a whole ton of stuff. So, John, if we twist your arm really hard, will you come back another time to talk more about this?
I would love to. Real estate's my happy place. I love to share.
Excellent. Well, no, thank you, John. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. We greatly appreciate all of your time.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks to my lovely co-host here, Danielle Wright. Check us out on our YouTube channel. Find all of our podcast episodes as well as the TV episodes. And until next Friday, that's Danielle Wright. I'm Tim Parmeter, and this has been the Franchising 360 Show.